Hello, and welcome to another episode of Garden to Table with Rose, and I am Rose. So, you will be seeing this probably after Easter, but it is actually April 6th today. It's in the early afternoon, and I am going to give a quick update of what's going on in the garden. I am not posting for Lent because the thing I gave up for Lent, one of the things was posting to social media. So that is why this will be posted after Lent. But I at least wanted to track some of the progress of what's happening because things are waking up. Now, it's still very cold here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, Zone 6A. The lows overnights are freezing or below. And that's why I'm out here so late. Actually, it was only like 30 this morning. It was freezing, and so I was not going to be out here filming. But now that it's afternoon, it's 44, so it's a little bit warmer, and I'm trying to get some cleanup done and just get an early start, because I will quickly fall behind, as I always do, because there's always so much to do. And so I've been out every day a little bit when I have time, when I'm not working, trying to get some things done. But I did want to show you what was going on so far. So far in the front gardens, I have pruned all of my shrubs and trees. For example, you can see this hydrangea. I got rid of all of the old bloom heads from last year with everything and pruned it to the best of my ability. The same with my fruit trees that are over there on that side, and there are trees here in the front. So everything's pruned. But anyway, I haven't sprayed them yet, my first spraying of the season, because it needs to be a little bit warmer. It can't be freezing when I spray them with this horticultural oil copper fungicide mix that I do. So I'm waiting a bit for that. But you can see, like, the fruit trees have their buds on them. This is an apple tree, a columnar apple tree. All three of these, there's 1, 2, 3, and everything is budded up. Some things have started to bloom, as you can see. Lots of the hyacinths are coming up that I just planted in the fall. They're a little short. I don't know if they're meant to be that short or if it's just because this is the first year. But I got yellow ones and different shades of purple, and they're short still, but that's okay. And then, surprisingly, there was a little bee. Probably couldn't see it. The bee just flew past, and it's like 40 degrees. It's freezing. Some of the daffodils are starting to pop. Look at that. Oh my God, I love them. I love bulbs, flowering bulbs. I love the daffodils. I love tulips. But as I said before, I'm trying to get rid of all the tulips from the front. I didn't plant any new ones, but there may be some old ones from years prior because the bunnies eat those. So all my tulips have been relocated to the back. And in the front, it's going to be all hyacinths, daffodils. I got crocuses. Things that bunnies don't like. There's some crocuses there, but I'm amazed at the insects that are out here because it's cold. This is a hydrangea, and it has buds on it. I think this is Invincible Sublime, which puts out a very green bloom. I've started to put into place some of my little lawn ornaments. I've just put them out because, like I said, I'm trying to get ahead of the curve. One thing I did realize is that here in my zone, even though this is not supposed to be a perennial Dusty Miller, it, in fact, I pulled most of it out. I had a bunch of it because I like that color, that white blue color. But these are a couple that I did not pull out, and as you can see, they're growing. So I could have left them and saved myself some money by buying them over every year, but I'm going to be planting some more because, like I said, I do like that color to break up the green, and I will leave them. And I cannot tell you the names of these daffodils offhand, but I have a bunch of different varieties, that is for sure. The other thing I did was I did plant up my spring pots. Now, the only thing in them is violas, pansies, and let's see, hostas. And then I do have a couple of hydrangeas that I put in pots. These are willow branches that I cut to root so that I can propagate them. And they are, as you can see, they're opening, the buds have opened up. Hopefully they grow roots, and then I'll plant some of those, not all of them because there's a bunch of them. I didn't know how many would actually survive, but I'll plant a couple of them around the landscape to multiply my collection there. I've even put out my fountains, but I'm not going to start those up, obviously. It's still freezing, so until like beginning of May, like May 1st, I won't be filling everything with water, but I at least got everything put in its place, so I don't have to worry about that. I got these lovely green planters which match my door. I like those. They match the door. Here's Bella. Hi, Bella. So those have a bunch of the pansies or violas in it. This beautiful two-tone purple. Look at that. Oh my, beautiful. I got these from my local nursery. Actually, there are a couple of local nurseries that I use. One is Winky, which is a little bit expensive, but they actually had a good deal on these by the tray. And then River Street Flowerland is my favorite here in my small town, and I got a bunch of pansies from there. But I put basically the pansies around all of my pots that had perennials in it. As you can see, my little ball evergreen here is growing, and my goal is for those to fill out the ball as they get older and more mature. I bought these are called Bloomstruck. I think it's Bloomstruck hydrangeas. So I got 2 of them that I ordered online, actually from Walmart, because they were only, what were they, 20 bucks a piece. And these are ones that change color depending on the soil pH. So I put soil acidifier. My goal is for them to be blue. We'll see. And then I got hostas. I ordered some from Walmart because they had a good deal. But also I went to my local Home Depot this past week, and they had hosta plants, like 1 quart, 3 for $10, which was a great deal. And they also had a good deal on trays of pansies or violas, and I get them confused, but both cool weather. So I am going to cover these pots with the same cover I used on my window boxes, frost cover, because we are supposed to be dipping into the 20s over the next few nights. And so I just I didn't want to wait to plant them because it took a long time. I mean, it took me 2 days to plant all these things, so I wanted to get it done, so at least it's all set up. And then I'll just cover them as I have these 2 window boxes until May, beginning of May. You can't see it, but under there's lots of beautiful pansies, and then there's hostas, and then there's a little one. I don't know the name of this, but they had it at my nursery out with the pansies, which led me to believe it is frost tolerant because it was very cold in the nursery since they are not heated. And so I added that. It's kind of a spiller. It kind of flows over. So that's in the window boxes and the pots as well. I do have a couple of extra hostas, 3 extra hostas that I'll plant in the ground at some point, probably once May 1st. Once we're getting close to the last frost date. So that's what I got going on in the front. I've cleaned up. There was tons of leaves because I used the leaves to cover up my garden beds because the leaves are free. Unfortunately, I won't have many more leaves because I got rid of my maple tree. There was a unhealthy maple tree there that would drop branches and, you know, damage things in my garden every single year. We had a tornado a few years ago, and it dropped a huge branch that actually put a small little hole in the front of my siding of the house. So this was not good. So I finally saved up enough money to get that tree cut down, and it's very expensive to get trees cut down here. Now, next year, I have to save up more money because the neighbor's tree, and they certainly aren't going to have it trimmed or cut, is infringing on my roof line. Their branches are touching my roof. I can hear them hitting against the roof when there's a storm or something. So I need to have that cut back away from my property, at least the side that's by my house. Unfortunately, it's going to be an expense for me. It'll cost like $1,000 to have that just trimmed back. But I don't want any limbs, branches, anything on my roof of my house. Yeah, that's not a good deal. So anywho, all of the, like I said, all the perennials are starting to bud up. Yeah, so I'm excited. I got a ton. Here is a ton of hydrangeas, just a whole row of them, and then some other things which I won't go into detail because I'm trying to keep this pretty short. But I got a second one of this pine. This is a Bosnian pine, which I love. It's so pretty, and it's evergreen, which in Michigan, you know, not much is green in the winter, so evergreens are great. So I got a second one that I planted over in there on that side, and so I'm excited about that. My cotton candy maple, which maples are pretty expensive here. So that's a cotton candy maple. It has variegated leaves. It seems to be doing great. The other maple, I don't know if that one's going to survive. I moved it because it wasn't doing well over here. I moved it to another area and it looks sickly. So I don't know if that one's going to make it. But for the most part, everything seems to have buds and be rearing to go. So I'm very excited about what's to come. Now that I cut down that maple, I do have to reconfigure my auto mower lines, the boundary lines. So I got to redo those wires once it gets drier and a little bit warmer. See, yeah, everything's good. We got things that are already starting to green up, like I don't even know what that is. It might be a salvia. That's a coral bell, of course. But yeah, things are coming up over here. There are a bunch of tulips over there, but those must be from last year because I didn't plant any tulips, or the year before. I didn't plant any tulips this past fall because the bunnies were eating them all, and they just don't do well up here because of various pressures. So, but what I did plant is a bunch of daffodils and hyacinths. You can see different swaths of them, and then you can see my little kind of yellow greenish conifers here, which they seem to have survived the winter. I'm very happy. That other one had a lot of winter burn on it, but it seems to be greening up. This was in a pot for 2 years, and I transplanted it to the ground in the fall, and it looks very sickly. Hopefully that bounces back. It was like a ball. It's a conifer that's like a ball. So I really want to keep that because of its unique shape. But that's what I got going on in the front. And more daffodils. Oh, daffodils are so sweet. I do love them. All right, let's go on this other side. This is the new side that I just dug up last year and planted. I had a bench here, and I moved the bench because everything is getting bigger, and so I needed more space. So I moved the bench. It's just sitting there for now, which is fine at the end of the drive. But I have my potted topiaries here, which obviously haven't been pruned yet for the season. It's still too cold, but I'll have to come in and prune those. I underplanted with more of the pansies in these two, and then I got more of those hyacinths that I planted along the boundary. These little evergreens I moved, arborvitae, I moved up here from the back, and this one's like full and lush. There's 3 of them. Less lush, least lush. So I don't know if something ate the leaves, like a deer, or if it was just the cold weather, but hopefully those bounce back, because my goal was to have those, keep those pruned into like a ball shape. I thought that would be really cute here. So But anywho, things are greening up over here and things are coming up. I think that's an allium, actually. I planted these giant alliums over here, a few of them that I got, and so that seems to me that that would be it because it looks big. These lavenders, oh my, they have got so big and bushy and beautiful. I really like lavender. It smells wonderful. I like the blue green color. So I have a semicircle of those. And this is the willow that I pruned, and I stuck the branches that I pruned in the pot over there. And it's a dappled willow. And so if those develop roots, I'll plant those. But I have a lot of roses over here. Hopefully they come back. There's a semicircle of rose bushes intermingled with these alliums, and then I sprinkled a bunch of seed heads here from different things that I had planted over here, which I see coming up, and I couldn't tell you what they were, but pretty much over here most of the colors are blues and purples, that kind of English cottage vibe, and pinks and whites. So that's what I'm going for in this area. I have another little citron arborvitae that I planted here that is doing well. More daffodils coming up. And then this is a little conifer that I got online last year, and it's small still, but it hasn't died, so there's hope. And then edible roses. All roses are edible for the most, well, at least I think they are. All roses should be edible, but then I got some from Proven Winners that are specifically bred to be edible, meaning to have a more pleasant flavor. So I have like 4 of those, and I use those, decorate desserts and stuff like that. I had a lot of daffodils here last year, and they seem to be doing well and coming up again. So tons of daffodils. They're all very short, though. They were taller last year, so I don't know whether or what, but we'll see. And then in here I have viburnum and something else, not sure what. But everything here seems to have survived. There's a line of hydrangeas that alternates with these little green boxwoods that goes down here. So I'm looking forward to those getting bigger over time. And the idea is that those will form a hedge, the boxwoods, like a 6-foot hedge to kind of border this area. And then there's I skipped that, but there's a vanilla twist red bud. So it has white flowers on it. I'm very excited to see how that looks when it blooms. And then over there I have a red twist red bud, or not red, but the blooms are like purple, the traditional purple. So that's what's going on there. So now I am going to go to the backyard and tell you what I've been doing there. All right, now the backyard is my working garden, I call it. And I call it that because this garden is more for production than beauty. And so this is where I grow a lot of cut flowers and food. Yeah, that's what I do back here. So it doesn't look as pretty. It's more utilitarian. I got my 2 raised beds. I haven't planted in those yet. I have planted a few things. I got a bunch of onions all over the place, but this tub is full of onions and they seem to be growing. This is for sugar snap peas. These tulips are coming back from like 3 years ago. They just a few of them keep coming back every year. But let me go in here. So over here I have this area, which I consider my cut flower garden, that section. This section over here is a mix. It's I got a lot of hellebores because I love hellebores, and I do use those for cut flowers. And actually it was the only thing blooming in the winter. Like for Christmas I came out here and cut hellebores and took them inside for decoration. But anywho, so there's a clematis, a purple clematis that grows up this vine, and it's actually greening up. There are a little, I don't know if you can see it, but there are little green shoots coming out, so that's coming back. Lots of peonies over here. and this is the second year of them, and so maybe I'll be able to cut a few this year. They say year 3, but I might cut 1 or 2 off of each. But as you can see, I have all my peonies covered with these cages so that I don't step on them or the dogs don't step or dig. But you can see these little buds coming up. Those are the peonies. They die back to the ground every year, so I have to mark them or else I would forget where they are. But I have a lot of peonies. So everywhere you see a little cage or some kind of little metal thing, it's a peony. They're everywhere. There. And then you see my hellebores interspersed with the peonies. And they don't look that great because we're, still in freezing temperatures, but they're still alive, and that's what matters. And then in the back row, I have berries. So these are, back here I have gooseberries, currants, and jostaberries on these bushes, along with some blueberries. I do have a couple of nandinas, which I try to protect because they're only hardy to zone 6, which I am zone 6, so it's hit or miss. But in this fenced in area, things are a little bit more protected, so they seem to be doing okay. So this is, I can't remember the variety, but this one has the red fiery leaves, and then I have the lemon lime one over here, nandina. Another peony, and then I think there's some lemon balm back there and green onions as well. I got lingonberries there, and then I have herbs in here too, and also this coneflower comes back every year, so that's just the traditional purple coneflower. Yeah, that's what's going on back here. There's nothing in these pots yet other than the onions, and I had some mint, so we'll see if any of those come back. I had some mint in pots. My dogs have been digging in the pots. They do. But if the mint comes back good, I have to plant mint. You have to plant mint in a pot because it'll take over if you plant it anywhere else. These bags are all strawberry bags, and I have planted some new strawberry starts that I just got in a container, but some of the strawberries are already growing. Strawberries spread all over the place. They run and spread, and I have limited space, so I need to grow things that are aggressive spreaders in containers to keep them under control. Oh, there's another little hellebore over here by itself. Yeah, so strawberries I tend to grow in containers, and then I kind of replace them every 2 or 3 years because they don't necessarily survive in the frigid cold, but it works for me because I only need so many. It's just me, so I only need so many. This is feverfew that actually overwintered. It survived. It's coming back. It makes a great little cut flower. It looks like a little chamomile flower almost. These two, I believe, are blueberry plants. So they seem to be doing well. They have buds. This is a beautiful purple hellebore. I think I maybe only have one that's this color, this purple, deep purple. I like that. Another blueberry. Bought out my Mary statue, and I have a new Mary statue in front that probably showed up in the video, I'm assuming. I didn't point it out though. Here in this row, I just this past fall planted several miniature blueberry and raspberry plants, so hopefully those do okay and grow this year. We'll see. There's a hellebore in there. Hellebores are everywhere. So yesterday I spent a couple of hours weeding my cut flower field and planting out some things. There's a bunch of snapdragons here, stock, and bachelor's buttons, things that like cool weather. And then I have some perennials here that come back every year. So I got mums, garden mums. I got ladies mantle in the back, and columbine, lots of columbine, and there should be sweet William over here as well. I also have lots of hellebores. Again, I love hellebores. I have a lot of them. And there's hellebores there, there's hellebores there, there's hellebores here, and hellebores there. So hellebores everywhere. But yeah, I grow a lot of those because I like them, and like I said, it's like the only thing blooming in the winter around here. In the back is yarrow. Yarrow, I have to be very fastidious about because, as I've said before, it multiplies rapidly here and it takes over. It's fairly invasive. So I dig, I dig yarrow out after about 2 years because he just gets too big, and then I start over. So I just have a couple of colors. I have the traditional yellow. I think I have a white, and then one that has different shades of pink. I'm not sure what that is. That has come back from last year. Not quite sure what that was. A lot of bupleurum that I let the seeds drop. Bupleurum is reseeds readily here. So once you plant it once, if you let it go to seed, you don't have to plant it again. It'll pop up everywhere. So I've actually pulled some of it out and just kind of trying to keep it into a row, because these are rows. So I'm trying to keep it into a neat row as much as I can is what I have been doing. So I'm pleased at least I got this section all weeded. I also have some lavender back here, and not delphiniums that come back every year back here. I have not yet weeded my little berry area here, so I won't even go into too much detail because it's a mess. But these are all like blackberries. I think I have a marionberry, a loganberry here in this row. But only I think 2 of these actually have thorns, and that's only because they didn't have a thornless variety. I have been pulling out everything that I grew with thorns because I don't want to deal with the thorns. I'm tired of getting stuck, and I've gone to all thornless varieties. Even though the thorny varieties probably taste better, I'm willing to give that up for sake of less pokes. But as you can see, the blackberries are starting to put out leaves, so I'm very excited about that. This middle row, it has some things that are coming back, and those might be black-eyed Susans, but really there's nothing here. This is where I was growing annuals. That back row, I got about 6 blueberry bushes back here that I just planted this past fall. This whole section is empty, so I'll grow annuals there. And let's move on because, like I said, I haven't weeded this section, so it's a hot mess. Inside of this raised bed, there is garlic. I don't know if it's gonna do okay, but there's garlic that I planted in there from the fall. Let's see, what else I planted all my tulips here in the back where it's semi-protected. I mean, the bunnies can still get back here, but I have my dogs that are back here and they chase away bunnies. So it's a little bit safer trying to grow tulips back here, and I love tulips. So tulips, bunch of tulips. I got varieties that perennialize well in my area, and so I'm hoping to have tulips forever. So I haven't weeded back here yet, but I got tulips growing everywhere. I have a rose of Sharon. I think that's a white one. That is a cherry tree, and I've pruned all of my trees, so they're good to go. This is garlic, more garlic, and there are some herbs in here too that come back, like these chives. But you know, oregano, marjoram, that kind of stuff is back here because I do cook a lot. I use a lot of herbs. So as you can see, tulips and alliums. There's a lot of alliums in here as well. Alliums back there. But yeah, the tulips seem to be doing well. I don't see them chewed on by the bunnies, so that's a good sign. Over here, there's pockets of tulips that come back each year. Red and pink ones here. What else? I have a bunch of lilies over here. You can't see them. They haven't really started growing yet, but there's a bunch of lilies in here. There's a shrub here. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a bright, vibrant green, and I love it. A little bit of columbine in here. This is my honeysuckle. I cut all that down. That thing had grown so tall that it had gone up and had attached itself to the roof of my shed. So I cut all that back. my window box, I have to reattach it. One of the screws came loose, so I got some little brackets to put on that too, because the only thing holding those to the shed was 2 screws on each side, going right through the shed. So yeah, that's not a lot of support. So I got some little corner brackets to put on those as well, which I'll try to put on all of the boxes when I get to that. I did get 2 new conifers. This little bitty one here. I have one here and one on the other side, and they are so adorable. They don't get very tall. I think they get 6 feet or something like that. It's an oriental spruce. So, and they're slow growing. Lots of sweet William over here. And then my fig trees. There's a fig tree here, and there's a fig tree on that side. Maybe I can get some figs this year. Who knows? I have yet to get any. My hollies are still going strong. I did just prune them severely, so they look sad. I'm hoping I didn't go too far, but I wanted the inside open. It was just turning into a mess in the inside of it, so I wanted it open, kind of like a bowl shape. So I severely pruned those 2, but those are evergreens, and so that greenery is really nice in the winter again. One of the few things that's green. You can use it in a bouquet. This whole little strip here in front of this tiny fence I dug up and put tulips, and then down on that end I just got a bunch of onion plants, and so there are onion plants coming all the way down to about here. And I grow a lot of onions and garlic. I try to, because they store well for me. So usually for most of the winter I have onions and garlic that I can use, that I've grown, and potatoes as well. I try to grow a bunch of those. I've ordered some seed potatoes, and I plan to plant those. And then over here is a mix of stuff. As I said, there is a fig tree, but over here is where I plant all of my sedum, because I don't water over here that often. This is the farthest distance away from my water spigot, and so I need things that are drought tolerant over here. So there are a bunch of sedum. There are tulips, as you can see, that are coming back. There are crocuses, that other oriental spruce I put there. There's a hydrangea back there. These are all alliums around here, this perimeter. Also over in this corner, it's a little bit shaded. It's kind of part shade because of the shed and everything. So yeah, I just try to put low maintenance stuff over here. That's all I can do. And then over here, as you can see, I have pruned up my line of hydrangeas. There is a line of Limelight Prime hydrangeas here. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 in a row, and my goal is for that to be a hedge once it gets tall enough. And they're so beautiful when they're in bloom, and I cut them all the time, and I dried them. I've made dried flower arrangements. I've made dried flower wreaths with them. Love hydrangeas. One of my favorite top 3 flowers. This is a forsythia here, which is also nice for cut flower arrangements. Gives a beautiful, stalk of yellow green foliage. And then these pussy willows, I've already harvested, because these are some of the earliest things to bloom. As you can see now, they're over, they're done. But this one had been in full bloom. I have a black one that was in full bloom, and so I cut off of all of them, and I'm drying them to save those for flower arrangements down the road. These also root very easily, so when I prune, I just took a couple and stuck them down in the ground, literally, and they have grown. There's one. Now this one doesn't get very much sun, so it's still pretty small, but I think I stuck these in the ground in the fall. This is a pearl bush here. You can't really see anything. It's a pearl bush. It has beautiful white flowers on it. But here's another one that I just stuck into the ground. And as you can see, it has buds on it. It's doing well. And then there's one more. This one gets the most sunlight, so it's doing the best out of all of them. But pussy willow, yeah. Literally, you can just cut off a branch and stick it in the ground somewhere, and it will grow for you. So that's fantastic. And then all my fruit trees have been pruned. As you know from past videos, I have all the fruits that you can imagine. This is a nectarine tree here. But I got peaches and nectarines and apples and pears and plums and apricots and nectarcots and persimmons and cherries and figs. So hopefully I'll get more fruit this year. I've gotten very little fruit so far. I've gotten a lot of peaches one year, another year. Last year I got a good amount of apples. I have yet to get any plums. I've only gotten a couple of nectarines. I've yet to get any figs or any cherries or any pears. So hopefully this is the year. We can only hope. And then this little hedge of these arborvitae that I planted. I got these very, very tiny, I mean, in like 3-inch pots. And look at this. This thing is now, this is 3 feet tall. So I had a bunch of them. Only so many survived. But this is a row of 6. And I just put it here to just outline this little area which I use for storage of my garden equipment. So my idea was they would grow up, 6 feet tall or whatever, and it kind of would be a screen for that. So it seems to be doing well, so I'm not complaining. And then this is a plum tree, I believe, and you see it has buds all over. It's looking really good. Yeah. The only trick with my trees is trying to keep them all dwarf size because I have a small footprint. So I keep everything very small, which creates a challenge because I think it sets back, obviously, the blooming and the fruiting of these trees because I'm constantly pruning them. But I cannot let them become, 15 feet monsters. I can't manage that. So I will keep pruning them, and hopefully I'll get enough fruit for me, and that will be cool. My dogs still don't use their doghouse that I put together for them. They'll go in there if I put a treat in there. They'll go in there and get the treat and then leave. Well, they're not having that. So that's that. And then the only other thing in that raised little bit over there, I have some cool weather leafy greens growing. And I've just started to put things into these green stalks. I got some herbs in there, some like mints, things that like cool weather. And actually I'm going to bring out the frost cover to put on the one that I planted up. Because like I said, it's going to get extremely cold over the next few days, the overnights. More of the pansies and these little planters that I just have along the rail. So that's all that's going on in the backyard right now. I will be back in a couple of weeks and let you know, let you see the updates. Hopefully everything will look a little bit neater and have things cleaned up a little bit more. But until then, bye bye.